With every passing day, the more I get excited for the upcoming Fantastic Four movie set in the MCU. I know this term gets said a lot, but this really is Marvel's first family, and it's exciting to see what the team over at Marvel can do with these characters, especially since the more recent outings with these characters have been...
It's fantastic.
Guys, I got it. Ready?
Yeah. Less than forgiving. So to share my excitement, I've scoured the internet to find the 4 actors I think are best suited to play the 4 members of the Fantastic Four. A lot of F's in that sentence, and not gonna lie. So without further ado, does anyone else hear that? Oh, okay, yeah. That's what most of the comments are gonna be like if I don't place him as Reed Richards. So yeah, let's quickly dive into that. So yeah, John Krasinski is a fine pick for Reed, but he's not the best one. Now, roast me in the comments, do whatever you want, but I haven't seen a performance from him that really screams out, this is Reed Richards for me. Now, is he a talented actor? Yes, I haven't really seen him much, as I said, but I love him in The Quiet Place. I think that those 2 movies, or at least the first one, is fantastic. Second one has more problems, but I still think it's a relatively good film. And I think he's great in both of those movies. And I've heard these good things from Jim from The Office and that action guy, Jack Ryan, I think his name is. I don't know. But none of those roles, from what I've seen, doesn't really scream Reed Richards to me. So, I'm sorry, but he is not going to be my pick for Reed Richards. He isn't going to be an honorable mention, just because I think there's a lot better choices. And since we're on the topic, Emily Blunt is also a fine pick. I would say it's a better pick than John Krasinski. But still, I think the actors that I've picked could do a better job. Not to offend John Krasinski or Emily Blunt in any way, shape, or form, even though they're definitely not watching this video. But I just think that these actors would do a better job. But if, say, tomorrow news comes up, John Krasinski, Emily Blunt in Fantastic Four movie, I wouldn't be sad. I think I'd just be fine. But I would still be kind of disappointed, especially since of the many actors I've picked for all the roles. So with that out of the way, let's get into the casting. Starting with the mum and dad of the family, Reed Richards and the Invisible Woman. I forgot her name for a second. So for Reed, I want an actor who can be the smartest person in the room at any time, but not in a cocky way, if that makes sense. I want an actor who can nail the hard-working overachiever who still does his best to keep his relationships intact. Some picks I've seen and think would be a good choice are Jack Quaid, you'd probably know from The Boys, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you'll know from a bunch of things, and Brandon Routh, Superman for a brief period of time, and also one of Ramona Flowers' evil exes. All of these I'd be happy with, but none of the choices I've seen have been better than William Jackson Harper, who you might recognize as Chidi from The Good Place, a show I would highly recommend. In that show, Harper shows off how he can act like he's the smartest person in the room, but that doesn't mean he can't do emotion, because there's also a lot of emotional scenes in that series that do hit you in the feels. Also, he's jacked, so Marvel wouldn't really have to hire someone like a personal trainer for him. So there we have it, our first casting pick. William Jackson Harper as Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic. Now moving on to Sue Storm. For Sue, I want a commanding presence, someone who can love you, but also command you to do the right thing when you're doing something you know is not right. You know, really hitting that mom vibe. Moriarty from The Boys and Samara Weaving from The Babysitter and Ready or Not would be great picks, but you also gotta factor in age, in which I think they're too young. Mary Elizabeth Winstead would be a phenomenal pick, but she'll probably be too busy being Huntress in the DCEU. So to meet that criteria, I've picked a casting that I haven't heard that many people mention, Jessica Roth, probably most popular from the Happy Death Day movies. Roth has demonstrated how nice and caring she can be, but also has demonstrated how annoyed and demanding she can be, and is around the appropriate age for the character in my opinion. So I'm putting her as my pick for Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman. Now on to the other two members of the family, Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch, and Ben Grimm, aka the Thing. Let's start with Johnny first. I want Johnny to be a total horn dog, the type of guy that all the girls want, and the type of guy that is also a pain in the neck to live with. I've heard names going around like Liam Hemsworth, Dave Franco, and Taron Egerton, and while I wouldn't mind any of those, especially Taron Egerton, none of them have been as good as who I've decided to go on with, Dacre Montgomery, who you'll probably recognize as Billy from Stranger Things Seasons 2 and 3. Montgomery is perfect for this role, since it's basically his character in Stranger Things. He's hot, muscular, a total chick magnet, and gets on the nerves of other characters. Not to mention that he does get a bit of redemption in Season 3 that I could also see them doing in Johnny in the film. And that's why he's my pick to play the Human Torch in the MCU. Now moving on to what I personally found the hardest person to cast into a role in the Fantastic Four, Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. Now, there's probably a bunch of people that are perfect for this role, but out of all the picks I've seen, I haven't seen any that sit right with me, if that makes sense. My top pick for a long time was actually David Harbour, who I think would have been perfect for this role, but unfortunately he was in Black Widow, so he can't really be the MCU Ben Grimm. But I have found someone who I have seen in other projects, and I've seen some people mention, so it is kind of agreed upon as a fairly good choice. And, well, gonna have to stick with me on this one. Seth Rogen. I know, it kind of sounds silly and stupid, you know. Seth Rogen is known for these comedies and being sort of, you know, a bit of a jokester. I don't know what the right word is to describe it. But I do have some reasonings, and so if you would just hear me out, here's why I think Seth Rogen would be great as The Thing. Just to start, it's clear that Rogen is a big fan of superheroes, with him serving as producer on the upcoming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, Invincible, and The Boys. A lot more references to The Boys than I was expecting. Anyways, Rogen is also openly Jewish, which is also an aspect of The Thing in the comics. That, and they probably wouldn't really have to change his voice for the character, assuming that they're going to go the more CG route, which, let's be honest, they almost definitely will. I think if he was offered it, he would say yes, and I think he's a good pick to play the character of Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. And that's my casting for the MCU Fantastic Four movie. Now, a quick side note, but I do actually have two more castings for two other characters that won't probably make it into this movie, but will almost definitely be in sequels in some capacity. I'm talking about Doctor Doom and Silver Surfer, who I think would be great picks for those characters, would be Cillian Murphy and Keanu Reeves. Two very good actors that you've almost definitely heard about, and I think they would play those roles exceptionally well. Anyways, guys, that's going to be my picks for the Fantastic Four casting for the upcoming MCU Fantastic Four film, as said many times. Do you have any, ideas for what the casting could be like for this movie? Put them down in the comments below. I am very excited for this movie, but even more so, I am more excited to see what the casting would be like, because this is gonna be the face of the MCU for a long time, so it's best that they get the best actors possible. But with Sarah Finn in charge, you can't really go wrong with that. I mean, she's cast like all the MCU films, so I'm sure she'll do a great job because she's awesome. She's fantastic. But anyways, guys, this is gonna be it for this video. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.